How's it going, everybody? Thanks for joining us here for Emerald City Hockey's post-game live. RJ, I'm running out of digits that I can count these wins on. I don't know what I'm going to do if this goes another couple.
Yeah, I mean, 8 wins in a row, tying a franchise record. I mean, we're kind of now going forward in uncharted territory here in the best of ways with the Kraken getting it done yet again. But first question I have for you, Dylan, how are you doing after that Adam Larson goal? You feeling all right? I need to know your reaction to that one.
It was very good. I was snacking on a bag of croutons. I didn't spill any, but I came close. I came close, not going to lie. Eat the carbs. Get through
Crouton
the
discipline.
post-game show.
Yep.
Yes.
Lots of practice.
She knows. Yeah, so that was a sweet goal. I mean, the soft hands. Prettiest goal the Kraken have scored in like 3 years, probably, if we're just being real about it. Yeah, no, it was fantastic, but it was just another night, RJ, where the Kraken get the win. Started off rough again, right? Ceding a lot of shots to Washington. Joey came up big, another night of an over 950 save percentage for him. I mean, we're just running out of things. The depth scoring from 4 different players, defensemen getting involved in this one. Just everything is working and everything's going well. There's just like nothing for us to talk about.
Right. It feels like we've seen this game before many times, which is kind of what we were saying earlier in the season too, only now it's a good thing. The Kraken have found that consistency they were searching for, which is awesome. They go into every single game with a blueprint to win it based on solid defense, keeping the whole game in front of them. And they just execute time and time again, except early in the game. But you know what? They've got Joey Daccord for that. He was fantastic again. Another game where he allows 2 or fewer goals. That's every single game on this 8-game win streak. The Kraken have allowed 2 or fewer goals. The goaltending, everything coming together.
Yeah, no, it is. Talk about it being an 8-game win streak, RJ. You know, it would be special if they could get to number 9, right? You know what would be special about that?
What? Tell me, Dylan.
Well, that's how many mini golf holes there are and duffel board holes there are over at a flat stick pub location. Of course, you could have a win for every hole in the course. Let's go.
There you go. Love that. Yeah, I mean, 9 holes, 9 wins. Just keep it going. See if we can get to 18. That's the ultimate goal. Do the course twice.
That's then the thing. We got to do that. Well, because then you go through the whole duffel board course as a warm up for the mini golf course, of course.
Yeah, exactly. 9 plus 9. There you go.
Exactly. Thanks everybody. So thanks to Flatstick for sponsoring us, of course. And on to the super chats here that have been stacking up, absurdly saying, kicking us off. Kraken streaking through the National Mall. Yes, they are, RJ.
Exactly. Love that. In DC for this game, while the Caps are still in DC, got to get as many wins as you can before they move.
Definitely. It was nice to see that. And you know what? Good crowd. This is something that I don't think I've ever mentioned before, but they always seem to have great crowds there. So I want to throw that out there.
Now you'll admit this.
Yes, now I will.
Years after the Pens Capitals rivalry and all that.
Exactly. And when it's going to all end there and everything. Yeah. But maybe, and also coming out of that Buffalo game, much better crowd tonight, I would say.
Okay, that's a good point.
Definitely. Light with the super chat here. I'm going to take my victory lap. At the end of the homestand, I said the Kraken fixed their issues, got some flack for it. After going 0-6-2, they went 10-0-2, totally changed their season, beat fake Washington. There you go.
Yeah, and I mean, I remember you making this point, like while they were still in the midst of that losing streak, about how things were improving, and we were seeing the signs of it too. It's really easy when you're at the end of it now to look at the progression from when those changes started happening to now. It all makes sense, but man, it was so hard to find hope at that point when they just weren't getting the results. But fair enough, you saw it.
Oh, definitely. Shout out to Light for that one. Absolutely. Fake Washington going to be even faker soon. after the move. Chip with the super chat here. Nobody could convince me the play of the game wasn't Joey's Scorpion skate save. Another amazing depth game from the boys. Franchise win streak tie. 2. Yes. How about that save, RJ? I mean, I know, I hope everybody has seen the Chris Drieger reaction. If not, you can head over to our Twitter at Emerald City HKY and you can see it, because I mean, I don't know what's better, RJ, the highlight or Drieger's reaction to the play.
I gotta say it's Trigger's reaction too. This is 2 games in a row now where you have a major highlight, but the best part of it came right afterward with the player reaction, which is awesome. Yeah, I put it up on the Instagram, on the YouTube shorts, everything. You should be able to go see it. But still, that Scorpion save was incredible and super important in the timing of the game too, right? The Kraken are chasing the game if Joey Daccord doesn't make that incredible save, and really it was 2 saves. The first one with getting the pad down and then bringing it back up for the Scorpion save. But again, he's just been so clutch early on in games when the Kraken have really needed him. They've had some poor starts recently, but Joey has just masked every bit of that.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, like, I wonder a little bit too, right? Why the slow starts? The last one was easier to figure out because they had the 4 days off. You expect there to be a little bit of rust, all that kind of stuff. This one, I was a little bit more surprised by it. Granted, Washington really did nothing with it. At least Buffalo was able to get a goal out of it, right? Washington didn't do anything with it. And I do wonder, like, this is the importance of, let me restart. What do you think is a bigger part of this, RJ? Do you think that it's the Kraken figure things out about 10 minutes into the game and they get going? Or is it the fact that Joey Daccord keeps them in it and then that lights the fire under them to get going mid-period instead of having to wait until the end of the first?
I think it's Joey. I think you can't always afford to wait until the first intermission. Some teams can do it well. And the way the Kraken are playing now, I think they'd probably still be okay against this Caps team. But still, if you go down 1-0 or 2-0, like they very much could have, that can plant that seed of doubt that they really haven't had so far in this win streak. I talked about how they had allowed 2 or fewer goals in every game. You go down 2-0 early and it just starts feeling like a different game. And I think that's on Joey.
Yeah, because I think that's what the difference is, because we've seen this team make adjustments during intermissions and come out stronger, but we hadn't seen them kind of turn things on around the 10-minute mark the way we've seen these last 2 games. And I got to think that's because Joey's keeping them in it. And when you see that effort out there, especially from a goaltender, it can't help but get you going as well, right? You're sitting on the bench, you're watching that, or you're out there for a shift, maybe you blow an assignment or something, and then the goaltender makes a big save, fires you up. It makes you go, okay, then I got to step it up now, right? Like somebody else is stepping it up. I got to match that level of play. DJ and Tay, not sure what was better, Big Cat's goal or his defensive stop in the third. It's the goal. It's the goal. It's the soft
It's got to
hand.
be the goal.
It's the goal.
But still, I mean, you look at the hands on the defensive stop in the third, right? With that puck just batting it out of the air so effortlessly. That's the kind of stuff that he does that he doesn't often get noticed all the time, but just consistently able to stifle another team's offense. And that does prevent goals against.
Oh, it totally does. I mean, his play in this one was fantastic. How about when him and Dunn, right? Like he gets the puck over to Dunn after he's helped keeping it in the offensive zone. Then he goes and sets up back door. Dunn's almost able to find him, right? Maybe just a little bit stronger on that stick there. He's able to put one home a little bit earlier in the game. But still, I mean, it was a great game from the Big Cat. Really happy to see that for him. He deserves it. Huh? You're happy about it too. You heard Cat. Is that it?
Well, we're not done with Big Cat or Afra here with the next super chat.
Definitely. From Sean, Adam Larson grinning as deep as his V, 8 in a row, treats for Afra. Oh, were you watching on a screen down on your bed? Is that what this was
She's
about?
so smart. She knows when the next super chat says treats for Afra, I swear.
She absolutely knew. Yes, I should have put on the Larson deep V for this post game. I thought I was just doing good wearing the actual the Kraken logo there, getting the S in there as I get this one ready. But I mean, both him, Schultz getting a goal as well, RJ. We could talk about that one as well while I give this to Afra.
Yeah, no, I thought Schultz's goal was great. I mean, walking through that one too, that was like just textbook, the Yanni Gord line, the cycling in the offensive zone, and love how Afra's like the treats. And then Schultz sticking with it too. And I feel good for him too, because he had that mistake in the first period that led to the Scorpion save from Joey Daccord that, easily could have turned out bad. But Daccord bails him out there. And Schultz, I thought, had a really good, strong finish to the game, even though the start was a little shaky.
Yeah, and you talk about the perseverance to stay with the play, which I think is obviously really important. And that's how you get those kind of, shovel in the garbage type goals in and around the crease, right? Like that's a big part of it is just the tenacity and the staying with it. But also from him, like just the give and go aspect of it with Tolvanen, right? Because that's something that we haven't seen a lot of from the Kraken this year. They're starting to incorporate that. Saw lots of the button hooks in this one, but it wasn't really connecting on things. I like that once they had more of an established in the zone look, they were trying to do things like the give and go, because I just think that's something that's a little bit higher skilled that we haven't seen much from the Kraken really in any of their 3 seasons, but we're starting to see it now. I think it's a big deal that the boys are feeling confident enough to be trying things like that. It looks like she's trying to save her treat for later, Sean there, but thank you very much. She's like trying to bury it in the comforter. I'm sure I'll enjoy those crumbs in the bed later. Super chat here from Brian, 3 stars, Joey, Lars, and Turbo. Saying there's a goalie controversy is like saying Hydrox are as good as Oreos because they're both round. Joey, goaltender 1. He's playing like one right now, RJ. There's no denying that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the best goalies in the league over this stretch of games. And yeah, I mean, there's no controversy right now. This is Joey Daccord's net until he stops playing like this. And it makes things really easy on you as a coach or as a team, right? When you don't have to worry about the goaltending aspect, you just know you're going to get solid goaltending every single night. And even for Philip Grubauer, making sure that he can take his time and not have to rush back and not feel like, the team needs him to come back sooner. Because on a groin injury, that's really tough. You can re-injure that pretty easily. It's very sensitive for goalies. Just giving him that runway. Take as much time as you need because Joey's got it handled right now.
Yeah, and especially because you might end up needing that if, say, things repeat themselves for Martin Jones last year, playing a ton of games, then maybe burning out a little bit as the year goes on because of that heavy workload. I mean, we're still a couple games off, right? Although we got to be getting close. Are we within? I think we're within 2 games now.
Yeah, we're within
of
2
Martin Jones.
How many Martin Jones had played in that long run where he took over the net. I guess in Daccord's favor, he's a little younger too, so hopefully that helps.
Yes. Now I'm gonna call you out, Brian, there with the 3 stars, because really I know everybody's giving Joey the love, all this stuff. He absolutely deserves it. But also shout out to Jared McCann. Gets moved back over to center, only 30% on the faceoff wins tonight, RJ, which was just enough to have the Kraken just barely under 50%, and that's really won them the game, as we all know.
I knew you'd bring that up.
Of course. Now, to wet my whistle, of course, Gregory's here also with the super chat for the lemon lime Gatorade time, baby. Joey.
There you go, Dylan. Have a swig of that Gatorade.
I know. This is the full sugar stuff too. This is gonna help keep me up tonight.
I mean, come on. Like, you could sleep after an 8-game win streak. Come on.
No, I know. It's probably a good thing that this is all on the East Coast so that I can get some time to enjoy it, cool down, and then off we go. But of course, always super thankful for that Gatorade, Gregory, and for everybody with the super chats. Going over into the comment section, RJ, we've got AL or Al, love when Big Cat scores. Me too. Light with the hashtag Real Washington, love that. The Markcast with what a win. Caps were afraid of a Joey goal from Tom. It's possible, RJ.
I know Edzo was really giving it to him for not pulling the goalie down 3 with about 3.5 minutes to go. I think, maybe a little bit of frustration there that they didn't give Joey a chance.
Yeah, no,
you could sense it in Edzo's voice. We were all hoping for it.
Yeah, definitely. Lindsay, 8-game win streak, baby. Okay, I guess we're back to even after the 8-game losing streak earlier. Yes, I mean it's kind of rough that after the 8 games you could look at it that way and it just works out to about 500. But still, I think this is really positive, and I don't know that this is going to stop at 8 games either. Mark cast a Wenberg goal game streak in this economy. I credit the bobblehead. It's the bobblehead magic, RJ. It doesn't stop ever.
And then confidence.
And then of course from Stratic, what was your favorite goal, RJ?
I mean, well, we know what yours is, Dylan. I mean, you can take us through it again if you'd like. But I'm gonna go. I won't claim that one, of course, because that that was just the best. But I like the Justin Schultz goal, and I talked about it a little bit earlier too. But just the communication from the guys, it was really the culmination of a lot of extended shifts in the offensive zone throughout that period, where it just felt like every other shift, the Kraken were just cycling around, having that kind of player movement. The D were coming in, pinching down low, forwards are covering up top, and the passing was really great. The communication was there, and I think that was like the 4th or 5th shift just like that before they finally converted on it. So it just felt like that one was a long time coming, and it felt good to see it all come together for a goal.
Yeah, no, that one was it. We've talked about the Larson one. I do want to talk about the Wenberg goal real quick just for a second, because I thought JT brought up the thing that I was super excited to bring up. He brought it up on the Root Sports broadcast, which was the way Wenberg played the angle to just make Kemper look ridiculous, right? Like he looked beer league level goaltender on that one. He was so out of position. Wenberg did such a fantastic job of using I think it was Ethan Bear, who was
It
the
was.
defender in front of him, uses him as the screen. He's able to pull the puck in close to himself, change the angle, and then be able to go, I guess, what would have been far side for him, although he was kind of coming down the middle there. And just Kemper never adjusted to it, right? He wasn't able to fully track that move. I don't know if he thought that Wenberg was going to maybe try to go through, Bear's skates maybe with the shot or something like that, but he never made an adjustment to it. And it was just one of those things where, like, that's a really cerebral, heady play for Alexander Wenberg to make, because that's showing that you understand what the goaltender is looking for and what they're doing. And it's one of those easy things too, RJ, where you make the move and then you read and react, right? If the goaltender moves, okay, well, now you can look to make a pass, you can find your winger, whatever. But when you make the move and you see the goaltender doesn't, you just fire it knowing you've got all that time and space over on that side.
Yeah, and those are the kind of plays that we know Wenberg can make, and I think it leads to a bit of the frustration kind of when he doesn't always pull the trigger on plays like that. But he just looks so smooth too with his puck handling, and I mean the confidence I think is the difference in that one, where he's ready to just rip it instead of look for a pass.
Exactly. Couple more super chats here. First one from the Comic Binge, Joey Daccord, aka The Truth, miss watching live. I know that is the one problem with these East Coast games. They do start early. I mean, the sun's still up, at least down here. I assume it's still up there. Barely?
No, it's definitely dark here.
Not even?
It's been dark.
Well, not now. I meant when the game starts.
Oh yeah. It was still light a little bit with some light snow flurries as well.
Oh, fun. Be safe, everybody, with that. And then from Rayanne, Kraken are firing on all cylinders. Love it that they are. I mean, I don't even know. Like I said, we talk about it, the same things, it feels like every post game now, because they just keep winning. Joey keeps playing the same way. The depth scoring is all there. I mean, I don't exactly know what to like really go over more. It was another one, RJ, where I'm looking at the ice time, and again, everybody from your highest ice time forward to your lowest, it's just a couple minute difference.
Right. I'm looking at highest ice time forward is Jordan Eberle at 17 minutes and lowest is Ty Kartje at almost 13. That's not that big of a gap. And you've got guys like Jared McCann at 13:01, the second fewest ice time, at least ice time of any of the forwards. You're able to, I mean, it helps also that you've had the lead and you've been protecting a lead for a lot of these games, but you're able to make sure there's not too much wear on these guys' tires. Alex Wenberg, who's usually one of the top guys in ice time, only 14 minutes tonight. And I think that's a result of just being able to be like, hey, Wenny, we got the lead. These other guys can take care of it. You usually do a lot of the heavy lifting in these close games. Just take a shift or two off here and we'll manage your minutes. And it's a good luxury to have.
Oh, it definitely is. And especially in a game like this where we didn't see power plays until very late, and it was only one for each side. And then the Kraken power play was basically, let's just kill time, right? Like that was a pretty not aggressive power play, and I understand why. But that also is able to then help make sure the evens get the minutes get spread around pretty even as well. It's just a crazy thing. Now, I did mention, RJ, the switch on the fourth line. They moved McCann over to center, had Kartje over on the wing, paid some very early dividends as Kartje was able to kick off the scoring in this one. What'd you think of that change as a whole?
Overall, I liked it. I mean, you saw what happened on the Kraken's first goal, and I think that was a direct result of it too, with McCann being able to charge that center lane. Kartje as a winger is able to, kind of trail behind and let that puck rip. There were mixed results. I think you look at the one Washington goal and you see it's kind of a 3-on-3 that doesn't fully get sorted out, and McCann is kind of the one guy I would expect to go to the trailer there. But look, I take some of the blame off him because, look, he hasn't played center in a long time. That's one of those plays where as a winger, you're used to being in a certain spot. So I think there were a little bit of adjustment pains there, but thankfully it didn't really cost the Kraken in this one. And I think longer term, what this lets you do is potentially rotate Yamamoto in a bit as well.
Yeah, true or false, before that goal, you knew Max Pacioretty was on the Washington Capitals?
True, because I just had read some article about him coming back after a long time. I'm like, oh yeah, he still exists. I had that moment like a few days ago.
Because I had that when that goal was scored, and I was like, huh? Like him? Is this a junior? What is going on? Man, yeah. Becca with the super chat. How are you guys feeling about the PWHL after the first week or so? Okay, so a little bit of a different, off-game topic here. I'm feeling pretty good about it. I love the decision that they made broadcast-wise to have, at least here in America, to have all the games just free and easy to stream on YouTube. That was a big thing for me because I was critical of the fact that they were launching as fast as they were, especially given the fact that you don't have like team names and logos and stuff like that yet. I thought that was going to really, dampen the launch a little bit there. It was going to hamper the people's ability to kind of connect with the teams, build a fan base that way, but make up for that by doing the absolute correct thing to do, which is make the games easy to watch and accessible for everybody, which is the number one thing any sports league could be doing right now. They did that, and the numbers have been killing it because of it.
Yeah, I hope they serve as a model for really, any sports league that wants to grow their viewership. And I think that's fantastic. And as a result, I've been able to watch some of their games, which has been great. 'Cause that was the difficulty with women's hockey a lot of the time before. Is it was just the hoops you have to jump through. It's difficult enough, trying to watch the Kraken game tonight on the dumb ESPN Plus player, right? But I love they've made it so accessible. I'm all in on Minnesota. I don't know, Dylan, if you've kind of picked a team yet, but I love Minnesota. They are so fun to watch.
Ottawa, they got a team dog. It's that easy. Come on.
Fair enough. I'd still go with Minnesota. Yeah, yes, I know I'm more of a cat person. Love dogs too, but they're just so fun to watch.
Yeah, but the hockey's been really good. That was another thing that, I didn't necessarily have doubts about that aspect of it, but certainly you come out strong the way that they have, from a game standpoint, and you've got a winner. So, looking forward to continuing to see how that league grows and develops now. But yeah, they did the one thing they've really had to nail, which was making the games easy to find, easy to watch for everybody. And the numbers are pouring in and look fantastic. Look, they're getting more people watching those than the Kraken are on Root, right? Yep. That's the bottom line.
And Dylan, if you look at the bottom of chat, a lot of people agreeing with me on Minnesota.
All right. Well, I see how it all is. Oh, there we go. All right. Coming back over here, broadcast also wants Lars in the shootout from Zoe. Of course, that's what we all want. That's what we.
Yep. Edzo did mention that right after the Larson goal. So let's keep the momentum going. Get people talking about it.
Yes. Now, I did see this on Twitter, RJ. I don't know if you did, but Ben pointing out the in-game gift for people attending this game in Washington was a Sonny Milano chia pet.
Oh, Dylan, I'm sorry you couldn't go to this game. I know how much you would have liked that.
I was going to say, I'm sorry I conditioned my hair. I should have just washed it and let it get all big like his tonight. But for anybody who wants to know about that, just go to NHL.com or open up the NHL app, navigate to the Washington roster, and just look, because that little circle that has the player's picture is just all hair for him. You can't see what color's the background. Can't tell. It's all hair. Love it.
I see Stratic saying highly gifable moment in Joey post-game interview. Stratic, tell me what happened. What did he say?
Yes. Tell us, please.
What did he do?
Tell us, please. As Brandon's loving these earlier post-game streams. Oh yes. I'm the East Coast people. I love that we get everyone in here for that. The Kraken plus January road trips. Name a better duo from Rebecca. It's pretty hard. Not gonna lie. Should we just expect this forever?
Yes, I think so. Those are fair expectations. You look at last year's win streak. It was January 1st to January 14th. Yeah. Right around this time of year. Someone should ask the players, what is it about this time of year? Like the new year? What is it?
About the new year. Yeah, what is it about the new year? Nicole, something about this team in January. Michael saying that's not a Scorpion save. It's a Kraken save by Joey's tentacle. Lol.
I like that.
Yes. B, that Ty Cartier goal, it was so nice, and it's his first one in ages. Makes me so happy to see. Yes, he hadn't scored since December 14th, RJ. We talked about it a little bit. I like that goal, especially from somebody who hasn't scored much lately, right? Just let one fly from 30, 35 feet out and see what happens, right? Especially against a goaltender. I know I saw Sportsbeard in here saying he knew the Kraken had the win when he saw Kemper in net tonight. But I like that from a guy like Ty Cartier. You get moved over to the wing. You're playing on the fourth line. You haven't scored in about a month, right? Just get one on net. If you see an opening, just go for it.
Yeah, it's an opportunistic goal. That's the kind of the goal scorer's mindset that I don't blame Cartier for not having when he was taking on that role of playing center, which is, so new to him at the pro level. I get it. But now that you're at wing and you don't have to really think about it as much, you can take some of those shots. And I think he's taking advantage.
Definitely. Edward, it may be freezing in Seattle, but our hockey team is on a heater. Go Kraken. Love it. Oh, man. And miraculously, I've seen 3 of these 8 wins. Vibes are immaculate. Yes, they are. Don, Kraken retire Ovechkin. Now, RJ, you tweeted me in the first period that I think you're coming around a little bit. Ovechkin's finally starting to show a little bit of age.
Now that I've watched him for a full game and just, yeah, I think so. I mean, especially watching that, what was it, like a 3-on-2? They made the quick pass over to him. He had the one-timer in space, and that puck just didn't come off with as much juice as I'm used to. And Joey was able to make the pretty easy save, or I guess relative to how good of a chance that was. I just feel like he scores on that just about every time 5 years ago.
Oh, I agree. And it's one of those things where it was, the Kraken, when they were rough at the beginning of this game, they were rough a little bit at the beginning of this game. And so, yeah, it was one of those kind of things where I was just like, kind of wincing at these chances they were giving up. Thankfully, Joey was there and able to handle it all. Lindsay, my birthday weekend is already off to a great start thanks to the Kraken, and Joey freaking Daccord making it a franchise best 9 wins in a row would be the best present. That's right, because I believe it's Saturday, right, Lindsay? Somewhere in there. But yes, this is off to a good start here. Aaron pointing out 2 points behind the Kings, only 6 behind the Golden Knights. Granted, there are games in hand, and it looks like the Kings may win tonight, but they are closing the gap. Yes, I mean, all of a sudden, the wild card is one thing, RJ, but the fact that we can even conceive of potentially moving up into the top 3 spots in the Pacific Division, that is just wild to me, given where this team was a month ago.
Totally. I mean, and looking at Vegas too, as we were kind of getting ready for the Winter Classic and looking at just the gap between those 2 teams in the standings, they lost another game last night. And now the Kraken, there's no games in hand. They've played the same number of games, and the Kraken are only 6 points back. I mean, that is really doable.
Yeah. The Kings have some game in hand, but they're doing fantastic. Maddie, we were in a wild card spot for all of 10 minutes. It feels like that's been the way these last couple days as Edmonton just leapfrogs us again right after. But yeah, love that. Ottercat saying Big Cat's being interviewed post-game wearing Riker Evans's number 39 hoodie. Wonder
what is with all this stuff going on post game? I'm sorry, hang on. I'm gonna check my phone and see what is going on here.
Yes, look that up. See what's going on there. I want to know: did he turn Riker Evans' hoodie into a deep V? Because that's the other question that kind of popped in my
I need
head
to look at
based
this.
off of that.
I just got to the Joey interview. Also, wait. Did Striatic say what happened?
Rebecca's saying more Lars smiling on the post game. He also said the guys have to keep the shirt going. Well, yes, they definitely have to keep the shirt going. Love that he's in on that and he's all on board with it. But that is fantastic.
Yeah, I see. Oh, yeah, Stratic. Joey did the Drieger thing with his eyes because I guess Chris and Joey did the eyes thing again at each other again during the TV timeout.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Oh,
I got to get Joey doing the Drieger eyes.
Definitely. Oh,
and he's wearing the Lars shirt.
That's so good. Well, maybe that's why he's wearing. Maybe Lars gave him. Oh no, he's wearing that Lars shirt.
Yeah, no, the one with Lars' face.
Yeah.
There's so many good shirts and things with their apparel. It's hard to keep track of at this point.
It is. Oh man. Striatic, how do we feel about Chalet and Rykov being on the same team in junior now? I'm super stoked for it. I think this is going to give Chalet the opportunity to really shine. He was stuck on a very poor Barrie team. He did not have players with the same level of hockey smarts around him. He would try to make plays. He would find guys in certain spaces and they just weren't ready for it because they weren't thinking on the same level. Just being very blunt here. I'm excited, especially after he had a good World Juniors, for Chalet to join a team where he's going to have some high level players around him, such as Rykov. They should match up pretty well, especially because Rykov loves going to the net. I could see Chalet really working well with a player like that, because one of the marks against Chalet is that he doesn't like going to maybe some of those areas so much. So I think they should complement each other very well, and we should see a big uptick in Chalet's production being in the OHL because of it. But time will tell. Sam, question. Sound of Hockey posted an article showing some stats comparing a big difference between how the team plays in front of Joey and Gru, and largely boiled it down to Joey's better puck handling. Thoughts? Well, without having read the article, I do think there's something to that, RJ, but I also think that there's something to the fact that they goaltend different, right? They tend the goal differently too, beyond just wanting to play the puck more, just in the way that they play angles. Joey's a little bit more active when it comes to poke checking, all that kind of stuff. I think it's a large variety of factors.
Yeah, I think it's the bigger picture there too, and I think also you just have to look at the team's play as a whole in the games, at least this season that they've happened to have. Right, the Kraken really found that identity, which of course is defense first, is going to make goalies look a lot better in the time where Grubauer just happened to be injured. I really want to see Gru play behind this
Yeah.
team playing this way. I think that's going to give you a lot of answers as far as what the real reason is.
Definitely, definitely. It is one of those things where Grubauer is going to play a little bit deeper in his net. He's going to play angles specifically more. He's going to try to always be square. I I don't know. I think there is something to that. I think given the way the Kraken are playing right now, though, RJ, where they're giving up a lot of shots, but they're perimeter-based shots and stuff, I feel like it would help both goaltenders. But I do think that it kind of feeds into Joey's just kind of almost more vibing it style rather than a more like structured and almost mathematic, I have to be at exactly this angle at every point in time kind of Grubauer style. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. I mean, Joey, again, he seems to, like you said, vibe off the chaos a little bit when you're facing a lot of shots and facing that high volume. A lot of different things can happen and kind of weird moments that Joey just seems to roll with a little better.
Like the Scorpion save, right?
Yeah,
Like stuff
just like
like
that.
that, right? Like I'm not, like obviously Gru is capable of making that save, but we haven't seen Gru kind of gel and be in the rhythm of a game like that with this team in a while. Now, partly because he's been injured all year basically, and I think that certainly plays a role in it. Zoe here done when he scores with the like flat face emoji, and then when Big Cat scores with the big smile. Yes, Vince Dunn definitely shows the emotion when his D partner gets on the board
I
for
love how
sure.
fired up Dunn was after that goal. Like that, my eyes just went right to his face in the celebration. You could tell he was so pumped for Lars.
Yep. And then Joey here pointing out RJ Kraken are officially perfectly mid all time. They're a 500 team for their team
All time,
history.
their whole all-time record.
All-time record
Awesome.
500. Let's go.
Hey, I mean, that says a lot, though, given how bad year one was, that they've been
Yes.
able to come back to 500 over this time, right? I mean, that's not easy to do with the hole that they dug themselves in.
Oh, definitely. B pointed out Joey's had a save percentage above 940 in his last 7 starts, which is crazy. Joshua, that was a great game. My first in-person Kraken win. The third time was the charm. Let's go, Kraken. I'm so happy for you, Joshua, because I thought about that. I thought about reaching out on Twitter to ask if you were at the game, because I know you usually go to these Washington ones. So happy you finally got a W. You deserved it, totally.
Definitely. Glad you're able to catch this one. Just a fun game to be at in person, I'm sure.
Oh, I imagine so. Definitely. Let's see. Tammy, spread out the time on ice. Keep everyone sharp but fresh. Great for coming down the stretch. It is. It's totally perfect. Joey adding in for the 500 record here. The Kraken are now 91, 91, and 23 all time.
All right.
Heck of a record. Hey, let's get to 100. Let's get to triple digits in that first column first. What do you say? I think this team.
I think they
it.
can do it. I think they can
this
do
team
it.
could do it. I would love to meet the team though that managed to get to triple digits first in the third column.
Yeah,
that would be the most remarkable achievement.
Earlier this season, it felt like the Kraken maybe had a chance.
Hey, just because of this absolute tear that him and the team have been on, has Joey finally had more wins and or losses, thankfully it's wins, than overtime losses. Remember, for a long time, the number one thing on his record was the overtime
That's
losses.
That
That was the biggest number he had. Yeah. So that was kind of crazy just in and of itself, was the fact that kept happening. And the Kings lost in overtime tonight. Speaking of overtime losses. So they pick up a point, but still Kraken are on a better pace than that. Mears, McCann delivered the most vicious hit in this game. I forgot who was the victim of it, but what was up with that? Jared McCann totally has the potential to do that. Like, he can have a nasty streak in him.
Yeah, he can. I mean, when he's provoked, he'll finish a hit on a guy, and a hard, clean hit too. And I think that's part of also playing on the fourth line, and maybe not getting as many offensive opportunities. Certainly in a game like this one, where there weren't really any power plays until the very end. You got to get into the game one way or another, and I think that's one way you can do it.
Oh, definitely. Becca, yes, I've got a bunch of non-hockey fan friends to check out games since it's so accessible, talking about the PWHL games there. Love to hear that for sure. And then also, yeah, Joey rocking the Lars shirt post-game. Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. Let's see. Yeah, so everybody, really everybody, you were not kidding. Everybody's in with Minnesota. I got William on board. Go with Ottawa because they're the team dog. Let's go. Let's go.
All right, there we go. Fair enough.
Zoe, the Jets are currently losing to the Blackhawks. That's crazy. That won't disrupt things on Twitter at all afterwards if that was to stay that way, RJ. Oh man, were you able to find stuff from that from the post game?
Yeah, so I'm just getting a tweet out now. Like Adam Larson, yes, he is wearing Riker Evans number 39 hoodie for the post game interview.
Is it cut? Deep V
no,
style?
It's not cut. No deep V. He didn't. I mean, that looks like a thicker material too. That'd be hard to make into a deep V.
He can do it.
He could do it, but you'd need some scissors. He wouldn't be able to rip it himself, I think.
Because I think that would have been
he
great.
Could. He's strong. I don't know.
I was going to say, no, I mean, like, I would understand that. Certainly if it wasn't started, especially up here, right? Because all the shirts have that kind of like, it's like double, and then you've got the seam.
So, it's the one with the weird strings on it too, where there's like little string holders, kind of. I don't know, the ice blue. Yeah. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, otherwise, I would love after a game in which he scores a goal, Adam Larson to be wearing some sort of shirt. And yes, go ahead, cheat a little, have it pre-cut. But just during the post game, he just rips it down into a V. Like all-time moment right there. Who wouldn't want that?
Totally. That'd be awesome. And I just found the Joey doing the Drieger eyes. Oh, that's amazing. I'm looking at it right now. I've got oh wow. Okay. Everybody, I will tweet this after. I'll put it on the Instagram. It'll be on all the social media once this post game is over. Got to be present for the post game. But wow, that is great.
Yes, definitely. Lindsay's birthday's tomorrow. So happy early birthday, Lindsay. Getting close on the East Coast a little bit. We'll use that. But yes, good stuff there. Sean, I'll be in Columbus on Saturday night. Might there be a Drieger sighting, or do you just keep Joey rolling? So we talked about it earlier, RJ, right? Joey keeps rolling all this stuff. Do you think we see Drieger on Saturday against Columbus? Were you copying the eyes there?
I was looking at it, just trying to. Yeah, sorry.
Do you think that we see something before the back-to-back games to start off next week, or do you think we just wait until Monday, Tuesday to see Drieger?
Yeah, I think it's just going to be one of the back-to-backs. You got to roll with Joey when he's playing like this, and again, he just had how many days off in between games? The 4 days between games. He's probably okay. I imagine he's good to go. Yeah, I just keep rolling with it.
Yes. Now, here's something that I haven't seen anybody mention in chat, and I'm just now noticing. So Joey, first star of the game, which makes sense. Max Pacioretty was one of the 3 stars of the game, which I think also makes sense, right? Scoring after the difficult year that he had last year, all the injuries, all that stuff. Surprising, though, RJ, that in Washington, he was 3rd star, while Adam Larson was 2nd star of the game.
I mean, the Kraken did win, and I mean, you got to hand it to the Larson goal. Like, I'm sure visiting media too, like, because it's decided by the home teams, the home team, right? Yeah. So they probably don't see that from Lars all the time. I'm sure they were wowed by it.
Yeah,
we know he can do that. We know he's got that in his bag, but I'm sure they thought that was amazing.
Yeah, I just want to say credit to the Washington media there, right? Going Joey 1st star, Larson 2nd star, Pacioretty 3rd star. I don't know that I would draw it up any different than that.
Yeah, no, that sounds about right.
Yeah, well, they did a good job. Good for them. Sean, different Sean here. Bruins at Gold Knights starting now. First time ever rooting for the Rat, aka Marchand. Yes, gotta do it. People are rooting hard for the Red Wings tonight too against Edmonton. Good stuff. Yes, Justin pointed out Joey's up to 11, 5, and 8. Love it. I mean, that's a really solid record right there.
Yeah. Isn't it, Dylan, isn't it great that like Kraken fans can root against Vegas for standings purposes?
I know.
Like, not just because?
Not just because. I know. I'm so used to it just because. But yes, no, now it's like, well, yeah, this actually like means something for the team and where they are and everything. As I'm going to pull up the standings here real quick just so I can look at it. Because the other thing that I wanted to look at was, yes, this brought the Kraken goal differential down to a -3. So again, we're moving towards at perfectly mid there too, RJ. We're on our way.
Move toward all the types of 500 even.
Totally neutral. The Futurama, the planet neutral, that's where the Kraken are from. Everything's beige and gray. That's it. just mid neutral. Jared McCann took that personally. Lol, wonder what the beef was. It's a good question.
Yep.
Now that we're officially halfway there at 41 games played, is the next pod the mid-season grades episode? Sam is asking.
I had been thinking about that this week. I don't know if we decided to skip it last year or what we did. I know we were on the fence about doing like mid-season grades. But yeah, that was actually going to be part of the discussion I was going to have with you tomorrow after Red Glare is
Cool.
to see what the plan is for next week. So not sure. It may be, it may not be.
Yes. I think, yeah, we can probably do that. I mean, let us know in the comments here, everybody, if you want mid-season grades. If that's something you're interested in, let us know and we'll do it, right? Like, that's how this works.
Yeah.
Should also add this, our first win in DC, as our previous victories against the Caps were at home. Thank you for that, Sam. Thankfully, we have Joshua, who was our in DC person for that stuff.
Yep.
We knew, unfortunately, hadn't seen a win until now, which is great. Be asking, how many games in a row is that with Joey as first star? That's a good question, because I don't think he's been getting first star for all of these, but he might have. I mean, he might be. He deserves it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back to the home games. I just remember him eating fish, but I don't remember in which order.
I know. So I was going to go back and check last game, because I think that would be interesting real quick here.
While you do that, I'm gonna throw some stuff here up on the screen for everybody that I managed to prepare here of some stills of Joey doing the Drieger eyes.
Oh man, that's
got
perfect.
A couple of them here. Got to keep up with the official with the Root Sports post game and everything. They got to include this. I love it. I will never get tired of this.
That's so good. That
Joey's
so
the best
good.
for the post game availabilities.
So perfect. Oh my gosh. God, geez, the last time the Kraken played was like forever ago. After that, the Buffalo game, where he was first star for that one, first star for the Ottawa game. I believe he was first star for the Winter Classic. So it's been a while. He has been first star for every game they have played this calendar year.
So. I mean, I know the Kraken haven't been around that long. That's got to easily be a franchise record, though, that might stand for a while. Usually they'll try and spread it out as far as the first star.
Well, I think being on the road helps a little bit there, right? Because then you're getting these other media bases that haven't seen him, and they're seeing how good he is, all that kind of stuff. So love that. Hockey Fort, can you all explain why the prevailing attitude regarding Drieger seems to be, hopefully Joey can hold down the fort until Gru gets back? I know it's a small sample size, but he played really well. I'm with you. I think Drieger did play really well. And to be perfectly honest, I think it's less about can Joey hold it down until Gru gets back, and more about Joey just being on an absolute tear, right? He's playing so hot that you want to get him the games. You want to get him out there. You want him to pump his stats, all that kind of stuff, because he's playing so well and you don't want to disrupt that rhythm. I think personally, that's probably more so where it's coming from, rather than them not trusting Chris Drieger.
Yeah, well said. I mean, I have tons of confidence in Drieger if you need him for games, but really it's just when a goalie is playing like this, you just want to let it continue for as long as you can without risking burning him out. And thankfully, the way the schedule's going, you don't have to risk that for a while, actually. You just have these back-to-backs coming up, and that's it.
Right. But if this was Kraken were winning every game 4-3 or 5-3 or something like that, I think you would see Drieger worked in a little bit more. Or if the schedule was more of a mid-year schedule where you didn't have a Winter Classic in there, where that was giving you extra games off and it was more of a traditional every other day, I think we would see Chris Drieger worked in more. But when Joey is playing like this and he's allowing 1 goal a game, if that, and he's got a save percentage that's always over 950 and all that kind of stuff, it's so hard as a coach to just pull him out of a game or sit him for a start unless you absolutely have to. For sure. All right. So as Stratic saying, Joey's life. So there you go.
Sure is.
I got one call for the mid-season grades there. Lindsay, if you haven't yet, go listen to Joey Daccord's interview on the Spit and Chicklets podcast. Super great insights into his journey growing up. Just such a great dude with tons of personality. I know I've had that saved, waiting for a time where I can sit down and listen to it. For a while.
I did listen to that. I did listen to the whole thing. It is fantastic. I mean, great stories from Joey. Some things that when he comes back home that I want to ask him about too. Some fun stories that he shared. I'll mention one right now just because I thought it
Yeah.
was great. And I want to get like the other side of the story from it too. So he was saying that in Coachella Valley last season, he would do like little 2-on-2 kind of scrimmages where it'd be him and Chris Gibson, the other goalie for the Firebirds, versus Jess Campbell and then the Firebirds goalie coach. And they would just do little 2-on-2 scrimmages. He was asked about like if goalies would be make good skaters and everything, and given his playing of the puck, he probably would. So he was talking about that a little bit, and that stopped apparently when I guess during one of the scrimmages, like Chris Gibson got hit up high with a puck or something, and it like broke his jaw, and he had to have this long recovery and everything, and so they stopped doing him after that. But I would love to like next time we visit Coachella Valley, just see if we run into Jess, could ask like her what happened there, because that's just a wild story.
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm like bummed I wasn't around more last year for that to try to, find out about that. Like that's crazy that we didn't know about that.
Yeah, but I mean, well, I can't wait to go back to Coachella Valley.
Yeah.
All the stories he was telling from down there too. It reminds you what a fun place it is.
No, it's all fantastic. The guys are all super, super nice down there. I mean, coaching staff all the way down through all the players. Everybody's super nice. They're easy to talk to. They're totally willing to talk to. Super accessible. I love it every time I get to go out there for a game. And it's been too long. I should go back out there. Bach, I think Joey realized how similar the NHL is to the AHL and has found his game. He's not shaky or scared. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty similar in the sense that all the teams run the same systems. Really, the only thing about it, RJ, is the speed, right? And if you're a goaltender, it's the speed of the passes across, the speed you've got to move, the speed of the shots that are being taken, right? Stuff like that a little bit. But you know what? I do feel like Joey has made that adjustment to the speed, because we talked about it a little bit earlier, right? With the idea of him kind of being more in the vibe or the flow of a game. And I feel like a lot of that has been his ability to anticipate or react really quickly, right? It's the reaction saves, whether it's the Scorpion save tonight, whether it's those cross crease glove saves against Ottawa and Vegas in the Winter Classic, right? Things like that, I feel like were what he kind of struggled with before in his NHL stints that have kind of finally clicked for him now.
Yeah, and I think it's just that all the work that he's put in kind of coming together. And I mean, that's one of the things he mentioned on the Spit and Chicklets podcast too, was that in his early NHL career, and he's kind of mentioned that like to the Seattle media at times, he felt like he wasn't really ready. He's like, I didn't know it, but I really wasn't ready for the NHL speed at that time. But I think he's kind of figured out what he needed to change to kind of anticipate those things. You see him with the work he puts in with like the VR headset, even just getting in a bunch of shots and a bunch of reps, like in between periods, in between games. That stuff I'm sure really helps with it. And, when your dad's a goalie coach too, that's the kind of thing that, you're able to maybe anticipate a little bit more and know what to work on. You just need the reps and that timing.
Right. Cause it's one of those things like you can watch as it's happening too. Like he is just more aware of what kinds of moves the NHLers want to make, or he knows what to be looking for, and he's kind of dialed in, because I think of the Scorpion save tonight, and if you watch, he's looking at him, right? He sees him and he sees that he's going to go high, so he lifts his leg up, right? Like that's just him kind of reading the situation and preparing for a high shot, and he was able to make the save, right? That's less of a reaction, because if you wait to react when it's in that close, you're not going to get there in time. Right? Like you have to be thinking ahead of it, that like, okay, what does it look like he's going to be doing? I think he's going to go high. Let me lift my leg up. And that's the stuff that he's been doing really well with, that kind of makes the difference between him coming in and always being a pretty good, okay goaltender at the NHL level versus this, where he's the best goaltender in the NHL currently. And it all comes down to that preparation and that understanding of the situations and being able to process it in real time so quickly. Just incredible stuff there. Would love to know like what he actually thinks. Like I got to imagine it's got to be similar to like when you hear quarterbacks talk about what they're seeing, and they mentioned like, well, I noticed like these four guys were all doing these different things individually, and I knew that meant then I could hit this guy on the slant or whatever, right? I wonder how much of that is what Joey Daccord's going through right now, where it's like, yeah, well, I know Jack Eichel's there, his stick was off the ice, so I knew he was going to be kind of going for this style of shot, which meant it might be lower, so I could just kind of come over with my glove tucked in tight and it was going to be in the right spot. Like I wonder how much of that he really thinks about versus it's just instinct for him.
Yeah, I mean, you can process a lot of that stuff really quickly without even knowing it, I'm sure.
Yeah, so that would be something that I would be curious to know. If we're all submitting quick what we want RJ to ask Joey upon their return, that's the card I would put in the box. Sean, positive goal differential within reach is a big deal for the Kraken after such a rough start to the season. Interesting how the Kraken's turnaround coincided with Tatar's arrival. I mean, it was getting guys healthy, it was just turning things around. It was the coaching change, right? Like there was not the coaching change, but the scheme change that the coaches had, right? It replaced Dave Haxtell with the clone, and it's all going well now. So it was a lot of things that kind of happened all at once, but it showed that all of the aspects of the organization were being proactive about turning the season around, right? Front office bringing in somebody like Tatar, the coaching staff making their adjustment, the players, realizing what they needed to do within that new scheme and everything. Like it was a total group effort from the top down, and I like to see that. I mourn the lost post-game footage of Joey that doesn't get uploaded anymore since they changed their editing style for the interview videos.
I know. It is a shame. So that's the thing. When I try, when there's any kind of moment that really sticks out, I'll go on the little Dropbox that we have and try and clip it for all of you. And I will do that for the Joey doing the Drieger eyes as soon as this post game is over. Don't worry, I'll put that everywhere.
Definitely. Joey finally got a long enough run of games to settle his nerves on NHL ice, and he has a great cheerleader in CD supporting him along the way. Yes, I mean, it does seem like Drieger has been great to have around for Joey as well.
Yeah, he's been super supportive. I mean, like you see it on from what you can see on the broadcasts on the ice and everything, but it's exactly the same way behind the scenes. Like he's just so supportive of Joey and really just honestly happy for him. And he knows that his time's going to come eventually. Might not be this season, but he's putting in the work as a teammate. And then, in the very limited action he's able to get to kind of showcase himself for other teams next season too.
Yep, definitely. Pablo, next game versus the Blue Jackets, then the Penguins, 8th straight win, baby. The Kraken can win 10 straight. We can be real dangerous if we make the playoffs and Joey Daccord keeps playing like this in the playoffs. Oh my gosh. If you have a goaltender playing this well in the playoffs, you're going to the Stanley Cup final. No doubts about it.
This is what Stanley Cup championships are made out of, is a goalie having a run like this, just having it, through April, May, June, rather than in January.
Yes, as the 2019 St. Louis Blues. Of one of many teams, unfortunately. But yes, that is what it's all about. Sean, different Sean saying mid-season grades, yes, please. So the coalition of Sean's got together. They want mid-season grades, RJ.
That's a powerful coalition.
Yes, it is. Super chat here from Elizabeth. Thank you very much for this one. Big super chat. Feels good to savor this run of points. The Rangers and the Oilers will be tough. Having Joey in net will help. How are you feeling about those matchups? So yes, Columbus having a rough season, right? Like that team is what it is. Not that you should take them lightly, right? Those are the games that if you start looking too far ahead, maybe you drop those easy ones. Columbus is what it is. Penguins also kind of struggling right now. Those ones, I mean, let's zero in on the Oilers one, RJ, because that is going to be the live commentary game that we're doing over on Patreon. I'll throw this up again. That Oilers game is going to be a big deal because there is the potential, RJ, that both of these teams could be on double-digit win streaks when that game comes around, and something's going to have to give for both of these teams who have just been on fire after rebounding from rough starts to the season. Given the way the Kraken are playing right now, where they do allow a lot of shots, RJ, and given especially these last two games where we've seen them allow a lot of passes inside the offensive zone, stuff like that, players in close, in and around Joey Daccord has been a thing from these last two games. That does concern me because I feel like you could get away with it against some of these teams you've been playing, a Buffalo, a Washington. You do that to Zach Hyman, especially. You do that to Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl, you're going to run into problems.
Yeah, and especially early on in the game, too. I mean, if you have something like you did with the Joey Scorpion save, right? If that is Connor McDavid instead of Connor McMichael, you're probably looking at a different result. And so the Oilers game of the two is kind of the one that scares me a little bit. Look, if the Kraken continue to play the way they have been, they can hang with anybody. Like, no team really, truly scares me, as in we're going to lose for sure. But the Oilers, they're just so dangerous. But given the little bits that you give them, if you give them the offensive zone time, even if you defend really well, they can hurt you. And so that's the scarier of the two. The Rangers, I don't know. They don't bother me as much. I mean, they haven't been playing that well of late. I mean, they've lost, I think, Montreal and Vancouver. I don't know how they're doing against St. Louis tonight, but they've cooled off a little bit. And then also in those games too, I think, they're not as dangerous offensively. And especially if you can, kind of keep it low scoring, limit their chances, it could just be a goalie battle, in which case I like the odds of at least getting a point. I could see it just being like 1-1 or something, and it goes to overtime, and then it's kind of a crapshoot at that point. But that's fine. You take the point out of there at least, and then hope to maybe win in overtime for once.
That tells you everything you need to know about how well Joey Daccord is playing right now, that you could be like, well, if we could just make it a goalie battle against Shesterkin, and we're all like, yeah, that would work. Yeah, we could do that, right? Like we would have a chance then. That says volumes. Rangers are going to lose to St. Louis here, by the way. Rangers with 43 shots on goal, St. Louis with 19, but Rangers going to be picking up the L there in regulation.
Does that not sound like the Kraken formula, though?
I was just going to say, like, that sounds like it'll work with what they're doing, right? Especially now, the thing to worry about is, like, if you're going to be holding a team to perimeter shots, right? Like, we saw this a little bit with Buffalo. It was something that concerned me, but they didn't end up playing that well. But the Rangers have blue liners who can make you pay, right? Got Adam Fox, got Keandre Miller. They've got guys from the back who can do that. You've got Panarin, who can also be a perimeter player and kind of pick you apart too. So it's one of those things, like, I could see the Rangers giving them a little bit of problems there from the perimeter, but hopefully not too many. That, and just as the road trip goes on, you start worrying about that catching up to everybody too. Like, that's just a natural thing, regardless of who they're playing.
Yeah, that certainly can happen.
And I believe that's the second half of the back-to-back. So not that I'm trying to dump all this cold water on the celebration that is tonight, by the way, just throwing that out there. Brandon, I'd love to see the VR program that Joey uses. Yeah. Do we know what program it is that Joey uses, RJ?
Oh, there was some article about it that I was reading, and I don't remember if it said what specific program it was. I could,
yeah.
Knowing Joey, next time they come home, I could just ask him and he will tell me.
Yes. I was just gonna say, it's so nice having a player who's so open like he is. But yeah, that is something that I'd be interested in to know, just because I don't really know like what the top programs are for goaltenders in development right now. And if they're all proprietary, or certainly if something like this at the NHL level would be kind of proprietary and they'd want to keep it a little secret or not. Very interesting. I also wonder, do we really know how many goaltenders around the NHL do stuff like that?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you just hear it just from individual goalies, I think, that talk about their own prep, but he's the only one that I know of for sure that does that.
Yeah. So yeah, I would be
I'm sure there are others.
Yeah,
like,
I
it's
too.
working so well for him. There must be.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, if there isn't already, there will be soon. But it is one of those things where I would be curious to know, like, a kind of a quick survey of the league kind of thing. Get on that, like a national reporter, like a Greg Wyshynski should be doing an article on that, right? Like, come on.
yeah.
Lindsay, I laughed so hard at Tatar's premature celebration. I've done that a time or two in beer league. If you celebrate hard enough, the ref will call it a goal, right?
It works sometimes. That has actually happened to me once, where I celebrated and they just kind of bought it, hit the post. But that was great. He was able to have a laugh about it too afterwards. I loved to just looking at him. His teammates, I'm sure, gave him a little ribbing about that.
You could tell he was laughing pretty hard when he looked over at the bench. I'm sure they were rolling.
You're gonna get chirped for that.
That's one of those, like, when you're turning your head to look, you know what to expect from the boys. Let's see, Zoe. The Jets somehow pulled it out to win it. Oh my gosh. I just keep telling myself they're going to lose in the first round. We know it's going to happen, but boy, it's just getting rough. Lindsay, if the Oilers and Kraken both are undefeated when they meet next week, that game will be insane. Playoff vibes similar to the Boston win last year in the legendary road trip. Definitely. I mean, it's going to feel like the biggest regular season game the Kraken have ever had.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, especially with the playoff implications. As good as Boston was, you weren't really against them in the standings at all. This has real, like I said, playoff implications potentially. I mean, these teams could be right there neck and neck at the very end of the season.
Yep, definitely. Speaking of championship runs, it's kind of a shame that the Caps just sent Hunter Shepard back down. We could have had a rematch. Oh my gosh, Rebecca.
That would have been awesome.
So cool. It would have been so cool. Had the Calder Cup goaltenders in there for this game. That would have been fantastic. Elizabeth, looking at our stats, our record versus the Rangers is 1-4-0? ? That sounds right. Like, we've struggled against them.
It does, yeah. And I remember especially, year one, Shesterkin just shutting down the Kraken, who couldn't really score. Yeah. I know the loss against the Rangers earlier this season when the light went out at Climate Pledge. Yes. I mean, that was just full of bad omens. If they can just keep the lights on at Madison Square Garden, I have a good feeling about it.
Is the team still playing at the point where we would want Shesterkin over Jonathan Quick? Is Quick still like playing lights out? No
I
pun
know his
intended.
overall season numbers are still very good, but again, both of them, it could be a goalie battle either way. I just don't see it getting that high scoring.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Who's on top of the league overall, but have we played at their barn yet? And have we not played at their barn, do you mean, Edward? I don't know. I mean, it feels like the Kraken have played a lot of home games this year. I feel like there's a good amount of teams that we haven't gone to visit. Like we haven't gone to Winnipeg yet, right?
Yeah, I don't think the road game, the road trip to Winnipeg has happened. No, because I would have heard that from other media members who would have to make the trip. That's not usually a
I don't
popular one.
I don't think they've played in Vegas this year yet.
Home opener. I mean, not home
Yeah.
opener, season opener.
Season
I mean,
opener. Yeah.
yeah.
The home opener on the road,
Vegas.
of course. Duh. Here's a stat I saw. Kraken are first team in NHL history to have a sub 400 points percentage through at least 25 games and then go on a 12-game point streak. I believe that.
Yeah.
Very
I mean, you could look at
occurrence.
it both ways, right? Teams that go on this long of a point streak haven't generally have dug themselves into this deep of a hole, but also, teams that have that bad of a start don't generally turn it around, this emphatically. So, you can look at it either way.
Yes, and I agree with Striatic here. Season opener feels like 6,000 years ago. Very much
Sure does.
Very much does, Striatic. Kaylin's saying there was ad for it during World Juniors, maybe Sense Arena for the VR stuff there. So interesting. I'll look into that after this here. Striatic, how do we feel about the Winter Classic jerseys becoming regular alternates even after this season? I would be so in favor of that because I think they're the best jerseys they've ever had.
Yeah, I support it 100%. I really want to keep those Winter Classic jerseys around. They should be a full-time alternate. Given the Kraken already don't have one,
Yes.
definitely.
And they played well in them, right? Like this isn't
Yes.
a reverse retro situation. Like they played one of their best games ever.
They're very much not cursed.
Thing. Yes, they are not cursed at all. Absolutely would love that. Oh, definitely. Oh, pardon me there. All right, here, people talking about the Leafs game back at the end of the road trip. Really getting ahead of ourselves, everybody in chat. Talking about that one. We got 4 games between then and now. But it will be fun to have them back in town. You can ask all the questions that we've been building up on the road trip already, RJ. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight, this evening, everybody. Presented by Flatstick. But what am I saying here? To start over. All right, RJ, when they come back, you can ask your questions and you'll be very happy. Want to thank everybody for joining us tonight on Emerald City Hockey Postgame Live, presented by Flatstick Pub. It's been really, really fun celebrating these wins with everybody. I know they get a little bit looser, they get a little bit more fun, especially when the team just kind of keeps dominating the way they do. It gets a little hard to talk about things, RJ, just because feel like you're saying the same thing over and over, but when the same thing over and over is they got depth scoring, guys are stepping up, Joey's playing lights out, could be a lot worse for us.
Yeah, definitely. You take all of that, and I'm just looking forward to these games coming up on the road trip, right? Columbus next, a back-to-back, Monday and Tuesday. That's going to be really fun, and just can't wait to see everyone for those. And no, not going to get Martin Jones when the Leafs come over.
No, definitely not. See, it's because I didn't drink enough of the Gatorade with sugar. I started crashing there when I tried to go and do the outro. So that's my fault for putting it so far away from me.
There you go. Drink up, Dylan, and everybody go check the social media, because first thing I'm doing after this is posting Joey doing the Drieger eyes.
Definitely. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us. Thanks to all those who gave super chats, as always, and we will see you all next time.